I want to try to read difference between living our people being a slave to white people to this day. I'm gonna put on my glasses and I'm gonna read from the phone. And I can't stand a person who sit up sit up and step and fetch for the so-called white man, white woman and child. Them people mistreats us to this day. But our ignorant ass black women and black men especially wants to climb over on the other side, shake hands with them, and uh, doing the same thing that the Native Americans did when they let them in and call themselves trusting them and let them in, and they turn around and they did our people any kind of way. I got a book. I got to finish reading it. What did I do it? I think I got it over here. I want to try to pull something out of it. Where that book at? Hold on. I got it over here. It's written by Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States. Yep. Let's look at it and see if I can go through it and look at some of the stuff that he warned us about trusting and relying upon your enemy. Columbus, the Indians, and human progress. It says, Iraq men and women, naked, twain, full of wonder, emerged from their villages in onto the islands, became island beaches, and swam out to get a closer look at the strange big boat when Columbus and his sailors came ashore carrying swords, speaking oddly, and Iraqs ran to meet to greet them, brought them food, water, gifts. He later wrote of this in his log. They brought us parrots and balls of cotton and spears and many other things which they exchanged for the glass bees and hawks, balls. They willingly traded everything they owned. This is what the Native American did, trying to help the so-called white man. They were well built with good bodies and handsome futures, and they observed all of that. That's why you can't trust the enemy. They do not bear arms. They knew that. They picked the weaknesses out of people and do not know them. See, that's why a lot of us can't stay on these jobs that these so-called white, when they see that you have an eye opening and you ain't on the same um, account and page as the one that's ignorant. Because see, you have to understand, the best slave that the white man have is the one that don't know he a slave. Those make the best slaves is the one that don't know they're a slave. For I showed them a sword. Now this is what Columbus is saying. And they took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. See, that's what the white man want. They want people that's ignorant. They want dumbass. They want, in other words, they saying to themselves, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I want dumbass black people. I want dumbass color. I don't want nobody in here got some damn sense. They have no iron. They spears. Their their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants, that means slaves. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. This is the reason why you had this same thing we're talking about today. How they will stand up and testify against you for that white man in a minute. These Iraqs of Birmingham Islands were much like Indians on the mainland, who were remarkable European observers. That's one thing about the so-called white man. They will observe. Observers were to say they were to say again and again for their hospitality, their beliefs, and sharing. These traits did not stand out in the Europe of the Renaissance. The Renaissance were I think they call them the colonizers. I think that's I knew what it was, but I got to go back and the definition of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a fervent rebirth. Okay, they was okay. I get it was the rebirth of European culture, art, and learning from the 14th to 17th centuries, bridging the Middle Ages and modern originated in Italy. It focused on humanism and reviving classical Greek and Roman philosophy, literature, and art while fostering scientific exploration. The Renaissance are the rebirths, yeah, of the Europeans. And the Renaissance dominant as it was by the region of the popes, the government of kings of Frizzy for a money the that marked Western civilization and its first messengers to the American Christopher Columbus. Yep, that's what they did, man. As soon as I arrived in the Indians on the first island which I found, I took some of the natives by force in order that they might learn and might give me information of whether there is in these parts. The information that Columbus wanted most was where is the gold? The wealth. That's what it is. And you sitting up there. Now, if you want to know whether you should trust an enemy or not, all you have to do is ask the Native Americans and the original people of this land. They will tell you never trust your enemy. All right. The information that Columbus wanted most was where is the gold? He had persuaded the king and the queen of Spain to finance an expedition to the island, to the lands with the wealth he expected would be on the other side of the Atlantic. The Indians and the Asian gold and spice for like other informed people of his time. He knew the world was round and he could sail west in order to get to the far east. Spain was recently ununified, one of the modern nation states like France, England, and Portugal, and its population mostly more mostly poor peasants working for nobility who were 2% of the population and owned 95% of the land. Spain had tied itself to the Catholic Church. That means they came over here in the US and converted to Roman Catholicism and converted they forced the Christians to uh to convert to to their beliefs. You see what I'm saying? And I think somehow way that's how it was forced and that's how it came because the Catholic Church is the first Christianity church. You know what I'm saying? All right. I mean I can read. Let's see. Let me see how much I can read. It says there was gold in Asia. It was through and certainly skills, spice for Morocco Polar, and others had brought back marvelous things from their overland expedition centuries before. Now that the Turks and conquered Constantinople and the eastern Mediterraneans and controlled the land routes to Asia, a sea route was needed. Portuguese sailors were wandering working their way around southern tips of African. Spain decided to gamble on a long sail across an unknown ocean. You see what I'm saying? In return for bringing back gold and spice, they promised Columbus 10% of the profit. The governorships over newfound lands and the fame that would go with a new title, admirer of the ocean. See, he was a merchant clerk from the Italian city of Ghana, Ganon. I don't know what that is, y'all. I don't know what the hell that is. Part-time waver, the son of a skilled wa- waver, and expert seller. He set out with three sailing ships, that the largest of which was the Saint Myra, perhaps 100 feet long, 39 crew members. This was all about them catching slaves, man, and doing their thing and doing the dirty shit, man. What they do, man. I ain't never read this book all the way through. When Mussolini Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935, the U.S. declared an embargo on mentioning, but led American businesses s- send oil to Italy in huge quantities, which was essential to Italy's carrying on the war. When a friend, I don't know what that is, rebel took place in Spain in 1936 against the elect social liberal government. The Roosevelt administration sponsored a new net ne oh, I don't know how to say that, new trade. Oh, I don't even know how to even say that. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have to look that word up. Uh, let's look at Columbus would never have made it to Asia, which was thousands of miles further away than he had circulated. Imagining a smaller world, he would have been doomed by that great expanse of sea. But he was lucky. One fourth of the way there, he came upon unknown, uncharted land. They that lay between Europe and Asia. The Americans, it was early October 1492, and the 33 days since he and his crew had left the Canary Islands off the Atlantic coast of Africa. Now they saw branches and sticks floating in the water. They saw flocks of birds. These were signs of land. Then on October the 12th, a sailor came called Rage saw the early morning moon shining on white sand and cried out. And it was an island in the Birmingham, the Caribbean Sea. The first man to sight land was supposed to get a yearly prison of 10,000 marvans. I don't know what that is, people. But Ron Rago never got it. Columbus claimed that he had seen a light the evening before he got the reward. So some of the words in here that I can understand, some of them I can't. But some of it I can. But this is all about how our people um they wasn't aware of the enemy conquering them, like that. You know what I'm saying? What this is, elbows. Okay, they said the two stone break structure was called poorhouse work, house and house of correction. A letter to Peter Zinger's New York Journal in 1737 described the poor street on you or Eurochain of the New York as the object in human shape, half screwed with coal and clocks. I don't know what that is. At the elbow, knees, through the breeches, hair standing on end from the age about 4 to 14. They spent their days in the streets. Yeah, I gotta take time and go over that part. But anyway, we have to understand, man, that you cannot trust your enemy. You can't trust the enemy that comes up and tell you nice things. Okay, the Renaissance was a fervent, a favorite rebirth of European culture, art, and learned from the 14th to the 17th centuries, bridging the Middle Age ages and modernitarily. Originally in Italy, it focused on humanism and reviving classic Greek and Roman philosophy, literally and art, while fostering scientific exploration. Key characteristics, examples: an artist's mo- mastery, focus on realism and emotional, exemplified by, oh, I don't know how to say it, Leo Siphius, I don't know what that is. Don't make me lie. Okay, let's look at the part about the Malcolm X explaining about the Negro. Malcolm X explaining the difference between the house Negro and the field Negro. Malcolm X describes the difference between the house Negro and the field. That's what I like reading that, and I hope. Hold on, let's see here. I want to see if I can find it in the bigger term. Malcolm X and the old Negro and the new Negro September. All right, let's look at this. Malcolm X with regarding to the Saturday Evening Post article, it's just about what you would expect from a nationality circulating magazine that is written about a group of black people not under the influence of or control of the white man. To me, the magazine article was by the a large a great deal of propaganda. The very fact that it is named Merchants of Hate gives a clue to the purpose or objective that the people who were responsible for the article had in mind. I think that the white man had a great deal of nerve to refer to any black people as merchants of hate and face of the hell that black people have caught in this country at the hands of the white man, at even at a time when the whites are admired that they have brutalized black people for 400 years. That's true. They kidnapped us and brought us here. They deprived us of our rights. They made us slaves. They sold our people from one plantation to another, from one actions block to another, and even right now, 1963, they have to confess that they are still depriving the black people here in America. And that's true, not only of civil rights, but even of human rights. Now, when it talked about the part, let me show you that there's something. This is in the Bible about the kidnap part. Let's look at Exodus right quick. Exodus 21. All praise to the Most High came right to it. Exodus 21, and we're going to start reading at verse 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he should surely be put to death. If you believe, now think about this here. So called white people, some of them, a lot of them don't even believe, all of them really don't even, they really don't believe in the Bible. But you know what they do believe in? They believe in karma. If you do something against a so-called white man or his family, family members or anything like that, guess what? He believed that according to his law, you should, a black man, I'm gonna say black Hispanic man, a black woman should be punished. They believe that a black American should be punished. They do that. They'll punish you for breaking in their house, especially if it's something committed against them. They believe the karma. They will give you the karma themselves. They will make you reap what you sow. But at the same time, they'll tell you that they don't deserve to get rewarded for what they have done to our people. Look what it says here. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna go back up. It says the black people have caught in this country the hell that they had caught at the hands of the white man, even at a time when the whites are admired. They have brutalized black people for 400 years. They kidnapped us and brought us here. They deprived us of our rights. They made us slaves. They sold our people from one plantation to another. I'm going to get that in the Bible. From one action block to another. And even right now in 1963, they have to confess they are still depriving the black people here in America, not only of civil rights, but even of human rights. And behind all of this mistreatment and abuse that white people have inflicted upon the black people in this country. Again, I say, I think that a white man in a magazine published by white people has a whole lot of nerve charging black people with teaching some kind of hate about them. If black people in this country behind the deeds they have experienced at the hands of the white man, the so-called which is Esau, is his biblical name, man don't hate him because of what they have wasted his time trying to teach someone hate behind that. The honorable the honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Elijah Muhammad was not a Jew. So people know that Elijah Muhammad doesn't teach hate. He teach black people to love each other. That's a nah. He not even. He was a Jewish man. Moderator, was there anything in the article Malcolm X related to the Muslims that was true? Malcolm X, there could have been, I think, when it says that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to reform ourselves of the vice and evils of this society, darkness duped addictions, how to work and provide a living for our family, take care of our children and our wives. And when it pointed out these aspects, it was truth. It was speaking truth. It was speaking truth. But this is a thing that black people have to guard against. Oftentimes, propag a propagandist who is sure will tell just enough truth to make you believe that he is being objective and to get you to listen, and then he starts injecting the negative side, and this is where we become a restful. moderator. They did make some mention in the article, however, of the growing strength of the black Muslim. Man, look, they don't put so much stuff up in here, man, and lied. Hey, brother, skin doesn't matter. Okay, they say skin doesn't matter when it comes to white people doing all the dirt and all of the crimes and stuff that they committed against our people and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. But they wouldn't say that shit if you went out there and committed a crime against a so-called white person. If you went out there and robbed the bank and all that, they ain't gonna come up and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what he looked like." They gonna ask you what he looked like. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that when it comes to your brother, something like that, when the white so-called white man do something against us, they'll say it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter when it comes to one of us. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to what Christ looked like, it doesn't matter. But when it comes to something that they want to justify against what they do against our people, oh, then all of a sudden now it doesn't matter and all that kind of stuff. Well, if it didn't matter, why it didn't matter during slavery time when they killed Sonia Mash and all that kind of stuff? It mattered when they shot her down. Then they turned around and killed George Floyd and murdered him and all that kind of stuff. And now they want to, when you talking about them and something against them, they want to reverse it and say, oh, it doesn't matter. They want to cover up everything and try to say something different. They want to try to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get the hell up out of here with that. Yeah, and then they want to try to cover it up. No, don't try to put all race in there. They try to do that's the thing that the white men do. They'll turn around and put uh every other race, and they're trying to manipulate and ignore the fact that the stuff that's really going on over here in this country with our people and stuff, the history of it. You can't deny the history of what happened during that time. And it's, even to this day, when we go in stores and stuff, we still being mistreated and stuff like that. They'll tell you it doesn't matter and this and that. You walk into a Walmart and take something now, and a so-called white man on that store, and he see what he gonna identify what the hell you look like. Cause when them officers or when the whatever when they come out there, they gonna ask. Then when they take a report, they gonna say what he had on, what he had. They ain't gonna sit up there and say, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he look like. Cause they gonna look at the man like he crazy. Now you called us to come out here and solve a crime. Now we ask you what they look like, what they had on. Why you think they got cameras and stuff? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just like me with these, like me. All right, for example, just like me. Somebody say, "Well, I'm looking for Clarence. The guy be on YouTube, blah blah blah, and this and that and the third." Ain't nobody, everybody that know me on YouTube, they're not gonna say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what he looked like. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." Like even if a crime was committed, they ain't gonna say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what crime he looked." If I went out there and literally committed a crime right now, and they say, "Oh, he have a YouTube channel," and somebody knows that, they gonna point them people, them authorities to say, "Oh, this is what he looked like," and they gonna say, "Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't matter what he looked like." You a motherfucking lie. They ain't gonna play. They gonna Hey, look, there you go. Then you mean to tell me they gonna sit up there and say what he look like? It doesn't matter what he look like. If you break into a fucking bank and you rob it as a so-called man of color or whatever, Mexican or Hispanic man or whatever, and they got your ass on them cameras and stuff. You mean to tell me them people gonna say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what they look like"? They gonna look at them people gonna look at them people like they lost their motherfucking mind. Man, what the fuck you talking about? Somebody, it doesn't matter what they look like. They gonna them officers, them so-called officers, they gonna look at them people like they lost their damn mind for saying that. It ain't hating you because of your skin color. It's just hate. It's hate you because of what your people have done to our people. It's not about how you look. Cause you got people that look Europeans, but they actually um are so-called Native American. They look that way because of the mixing and stuff here, but according to the seed of the father, it still goes back who they father are. It doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what your people is. The Bible judges you by nation, not based upon how you look or your skin color and all that type of stuff. It's just the people of color been known. The word human means color. And people say, "Oh, you hate me for something that I have no control." No, it's the idea that you have. You are the descendants of those same people that did that. You see what I'm saying? You are the same people. You are the descendants of those people. It's just like you take a cake, right? If you take a pound cake and you cut half of that motherfucker off, what's the difference if you take a whole pound cake, a coconut cake, and you cut a piece off? What's the difference? The only difference is it's gonna look different because you cut a piece off, but it's not gonna stop it and alienate it from tasting like that original big hunk, the big old chunk you cut it off from. It still tastes the same because it still got all the ingredients in there. Just like people say, "Oh, I ain't do it, I ain't do it." If you go read Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21, the Bible said, "Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers." You know what I'm saying? He said, prepare slaughter. Now, if you think about it like this, here, if you go to a restaurant, if I invite 30 people to a restaurant, right? If I invite 30 goddamn people to a restaurant, and I promise all these people I'm gonna pay, I got the bill, it's on me, I'm gonna pay this bill, I'm gonna pay it, blah, blah, and so on and so forth. I'm gonna pay it, I'm gonna pay it, I'm gonna pay it. And I got all these people believing, okay, he got the bill, he got it. I pretend like I'm gonna pay that whole bill, bro, right? And then I just ease out, act like I'm going to the bathroom, and everybody's sitting up in there. They still eating, and after they done, they sitting there just talking. They're like, okay, we're waiting on him to come pay. They come put the bill on thing, and they say, well, what happened to the person that said we're gonna pay it? He said we're going to the bathroom. So if I leave out and go, them people at that restaurant gonna want somebody to be responsible for that bill, right? So the 30 people ain't just gonna be able to leave. They're gonna need some kind of information so they can get in contact with somebody because they ain't worried about they worried about the bill being paid. So if you got the money in your pocket and the person that said they were gonna pay the bill, guess who's gonna have to pay that bill? They're gonna be held responsible for that bill that need to be paid, right? So what they're gonna do is they're gonna say, well, somebody got to pay this bill. If not, somebody gonna be arrested. So now, therefore, you got to pay the consequences for what this person said, and you got to pay that bill. Whether they don't care. So we just want this bill paid. If you don't, then you're gonna pay the consequences for it. Well, the person that said they're gonna pay it, oh, they find out he left. So guess who left with that bill? You got to pay that bill. You left with it. I mean, the truth is the truth. If they did it, you guilty of it. You just guilty of the crimes. You know what I'm saying? But that's how they gonna look at. That's how they gonna look at it. If you do something against them, they gonna want you to pay for your crime that you commit against somebody. You see what I'm saying? If you go and invite all them people to a restaurant and you slip out and leave the people up in there to pay it, oh, they say we're gonna pay it. No, they're gonna leave that bill there, and you gonna have to pay for that bill. So even though you didn't do it personal, lie and say you were gonna pay the bill, them people still had to pay the consequences by paying that bill, even though the other person left out. You know, I'm just telling the truth. I mean, truth is truth. Truth is what it is. You believe in karma, don't you? If you believe in karma, like, yeah. Hold on, let's do this here. What is karma? Karma is a universal principle of cause and effect, originated from the Indian regions, religious Hinduism and Buddhism, where international actors, thought, thoughts, words, the international actions, thoughts, words, or deeds shapes a person's presence and future. It shapes their presence and future experiencing, often understood as what goes around comes around. It determines one's circumstances and future incarnation based on past behavior. Yeah. So karma is based upon um one's presence, their future. Karma is the universal principle, cause and effect, originated from Indian religious Hinduism and Buddhism, where international actions, thoughts, words, or deeds shape a person's present and future. In other words, the way you live is saying it shapes your actions, your deeds. It shapes how you gonna leave here. Just like the so-called white man took and killed George Floyd and murdered this man for no reason at all, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? That means if you let's get it. Let's get it. Here we go. Genesis chapter 9 and verse, let's start at 3 to get the full context. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herbs have I given you all things. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. See, the so-called white man, they like blood. We like our food fully done. We don't like no half-done food. It said, and surely your blood of your life will I require at the hands of every beast. I will require it. That's right. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. I will require your life. If you take a life, then you're gonna get your life taken. That's karma. Whoso shit verse 6, Genesis 9 and verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. If you walk around here and you shed and you kill somebody like they did Sonya Mass, somebody I shoot you in the fucking face and all that kind of stuff, it's coming back on you. It ain't no if, ands, and buts about when you do wrong, it come back on you. The white man, white woman, and child, the white folks, they mistreat us. When we go in them stores, they mistreat us. They talk to you crazy. They gonna reap what they sow. You gonna get it back. That's what the Bible says. That's it. What more do you want me to say? They get it back. All those nations that enslaved our people, it's called reaping, getting back what you did to others. My mother used to put it like this: don't give that you can't take. Whatever you put out in the universe, that's what's coming back to you. That's how it's gonna come back to you. Because that's what you put out. Why would you put out something and not expect for it to come back in the same manner you put it out? There's a scripture in the Bible that does say, in the same meat ye measure out, something like that. It shall be measured to you again. He's letting you know you're going what you want. It's like this. When you do good, you reap it. When you do bad, you get it back. When you do good, whatever you put out in the universe, that's what will come back to you. You get paid for it. Just like you go on a job and you work a job or whatever. Whatever you work for, that's what they pay you for. If you work, you get paid. If you don't work, then what? You reap nothing. Simple as that, man. So if you have a problem with this, that means you have a problem with order and correction from the Most High.